Okay, it's 6 o'clock, Sarah, right on time. So at least we have 4 here, and I think we should have everyone except for Missy that'll come here. All right, I'm calling the regular meeting of the Park and Rec Commission to order on March 2nd meeting. The first thing we'll do is call for the PRC attendance. Mary Ellen's here, Sarah, myself, Tim, and Don Bugbee. And is anyone out in telephone land? Brendan, are you there? Or Ryan? Because Missy, no, I don't think anybody's out there. Okay. The first thing to do is we want to approve the minutes from our last meeting, last month. And, somebody's coming? Okay, there's Brendan, okay. And everyone's read the minutes from our special meeting on February 2nd. Does anyone have any suggestions or additions or subtractions? I only have one. Under Mary Ellen, after election of officers, it says Brendan McKeever moved to approve the present slate of officers for another term. Ryan seconded. The commissioners unanimously voted to accept myself as chairman, Brendan McKeever as vice president. No, vice chair.
Vice chair, right?
Yeah, vice chair.
I like the presidential rank.
I like the presidential.
Yeah, no, vice chair. And Mary Ellen is secretary. Anyone have any other comments on it? Okay, would someone like to make a motion to approve the meeting with that one correction?
Sarah?
To approve the meeting minutes.
Okay, great. Okay, someone second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, any more discussion on that? No? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mary Ellen did?
Aye.
Yeah, okay. Tim, you said, okay. Anyone opposed? No. Anyone abstain? No. Okay. On to the next part. That the Rowers and Haynes Park Fund for Town Enhancements at Haynes Park. Okay, I handed out a summary of where the finances stand. Did you have that? You got it before, but I have an extra copy. Okay, and the total amount received for this fund was $65,174.54. There was a sign that by Brush Line Design that also had the donors on it, and that it was $5,594.54. And then there was a bike rack for $365.09. And then there was a 1/3 deposit for the pavilion by the Barnyard Company for $5,776, such that there's $11,735.63 has been spent, and the funds available are $53,438.91 is still available. And this was as of this week. Our finance director, Nicole, gave me those figures. Okay. Ryan, how you doing? So everyone's here that said they're going to be here, except for Missy, who can't make it, who may actually come later. Okay. Just for where is it? Okay, I have the Barnyard Company this year upgraded their portfolio of what was available in different types of pavilions. And although they had the year before, they had pictures of the Eastern Pavilion that, and here, if you just take those, and I'll give a couple out to our guest here. Here, there's 3.
Yep. Is that good?
3. No, here. This is what it's going to look like here. Here, Skip, you want, here. No, but there's a different, it's a little bigger one.
Okay.
Okay, that first one I gave you, I don't know what the dimensions on this one are, but the first one I gave you is a 12 by 14, and we have ordered a 12 by 22, and they didn't say anything for the size of this particular one. Do you guys have a picture of that? Okay. Okay, now, we got this, not last year, the year before was when I was seeking out different prices for pavilions, and because that was still the tail end of, well, I guess even now is the tail end of COVID, there are a lot of companies that couldn't even guarantee any type of delivery, but Barnyard could, and we were hoping to try and install it last spring, but we couldn't do that because we feel, the Park and Rec Commission feels very strongly we should have security cameras out there because there has been vandalism at times, several times now in the new restroom, and there's been a sort of vandalism in the past. There's been vandalism there. So we're hoping that, I spoke to, today, actually, Tom Meyer, who's our facilities director, and IT man. He actually initiated, this past month, a work order with Comcast to install the lines underneath. We have underground lines that go from the street into the restroom, and Comcast installs these free of charge, hoping that you sign up to use the internet and pay their monthly service and so forth. So that project is supposed to be completed by the 2nd of March, April. Then, the next step then is that Tom said is that the next step really revolves around the Board of Selectmen approving the money or where the money would come from to continue on the project. In order to install, the idea was to install 2 cameras on each side of the restroom that would sweep 180 degrees, so actually the boathouse would be also included in the sweep, and then even the new position of the pavilion would be covered. And we thought too, maybe just a camera straight out, that looks straight out from the restroom just to see, because sometimes the next morning you wake up and people throw junk inside the bathroom, and maybe this way we could have a kind of a tally of who was there the day before. So, Martha, I know you were here last year for one of our meetings, and you said the town wants to install security cameras. So maybe you would like to comment on that, where we are at that, because Tom says it's basically he's waiting to get the go-ahead, that there is money available somewhere, and that you guys approve it along with the Board of Finance.
So the Board of Finance met on Tuesday night, and the cameras that the IT department went up to, I believe it was Deep River and Chester, to look at if they have put in some cameras for their town buildings.
Right.
And these are the cameras that CPD Comp, who does our computers, and we put all the servers together so that we have the tapes and things like that strongly suggest. As far as I understand from Andy Russell, those cameras are not available right now, but those are the cameras that we would like to purchase for the entire town. Andy asked the Board of Selectmen at the Board of Finance meeting to meet with Tom. I believe he is coming to our Board of Selectmen meeting on Monday.
Oh, good.
And we are supposed to prioritize the capital projects of which the cameras are. So that is a capital project, and we are supposed to prioritize those.
Oh, good. Yeah, because I believe Tim said too, you guys would like some cameras for this building, maybe?
Well, yes, but the new doors have to be installed before the cameras can go up. I'm not exactly sure. But there would have to be new entrance doors put on this building, and those were budgeted for some time ago.
Yes.
And then there's going to be a key fob entrance instead of a key, and that's all another project. So there's a large discussion of capital projects that has to happen on Monday, and then a priority list that the Board of Selectmen has to approve, and then it has to go to the Board of Finance for approval. So everything that's been put in for capital for this year,
Yes?
supposed to be looked at on Monday.
Oh, good. So because I just spoke to Tom today, and
Well, he was just back from vacation, so he wasn't here.
yeah. Well, I said I would mention it tonight at the meeting, and hopefully you were going to show up, but now I've gotten the answer. I was going to bug you guys after the meeting if we're not on route to try and solve this problem. Because it would be nice to have the cameras installed, because I'm, not only myself, but because of the vandalism that's taken place over the years, the commission also agrees it'd be nice to have cameras there. And even if the picture's not tremendous, even though he showed me one of the cameras today, showed me a camera, I guess, it's supposed to be pretty good, because I think you buy a camera now, 5 years from now, the cameras are going to be a lot better. So we want to probably get one of the top of the line products, correct?
Well, that's why we're taking CP Comp's recommendations.
Yeah.
Because they've done enough homework on it.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So that's great to hear that. And so hopefully sometime either this summer or fall, we can install the pavilion. There's still $6,400 available. Well, as I said before at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, our former facilities director worked with people to say that we're going to get a slab for the pavilion, and I believe from that initial estimate, $6,400 is left for that. And now, once we get a little closer to doing this, we can go through the process of...
We have to get it re-quoted.
Another quote from them. That's from former quote, which, we've been trying to get cameras for over 3 years out there.
If it's over $10,000 on your slab, then you have to get re-quoted.
Yes.
That's in the bidding process that I stated.
Right. And I'm sure for this, it's going to be well over that. So once we get numbers from him and you guys have your meeting, I have to... Sometimes you disappear in front of Skip. Yeah, thanks, Skip. Yeah, well, once we get that, we're on our way to following up to what we have to do then.
Yep.
Okay, so that's good news. Anybody on the commission want to comment? We've been talking about getting security cameras for a long time. And hopefully 3 cameras would work, maybe even 2 cameras would work if they go 180 degree from each corner of the restroom. Like I said, you go from the boathouse all the way over to 180 degrees and vice versa so that a lot of, not the whole park, because there and all, but a lot of the park will be covered. And then the question is if we want to put a camera just to see who goes in and out of the restroom. That's what we've been looking at. Okay, that looks like will come from town funds. Would that be from the COVID relief funds, or what funds is that?
Did you put in for a COVID grant?
No, I didn't put in for it, but I had Phil Parchik, the facilities director.
Check to see what it encompassed.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay. Well, that's good news to hear that we're on the way there. Huh? Okay, that'd be great, Martha. Martha, thanks. Anybody else want to comment on that? No? Okay. Now, as far as what we're going to need with the pavilion, we're going to get a couple picnic benches that are handicap accessible. Not picnic benches, picnic tables. Those are the 2 bigger items. Now, if you look at at catalogs for these things, they run from anywhere from $800,000 to $2,500 just for a picnic table. It depends on what you want to have, wood, you want to have that plastic, you know, we haven't determined that yet because we're still far away from that, but we can all comment. Maybe at the next meeting, I can bring in samples of the different types of tables, and that would be taken from the rowers fund, because that's an enhancement, and in your pamphlet that you put out for the donations, that was one of the things that was prioritized to get a pavilion. And then we already have 3 benches out there at Haynes Park. I'm not sure we need any more benches, but we might get another bench. We could also, at one point, we were talking about around that cage for the well that's by the restroom, talking about putting some shrubbery or something around that so it would look nicer. So maybe that's what we can spend some of the remaining funds on. Anyone else have suggestion of what? Well, we got a lot of money to spend here. One thought I had is if we have a problem with the docks in the future, like we had a few docks that broke, and then we were being able to be repaired, and I think that warranty wears out this year. It was 8 years that they provided a new dock, but we had to pay $600 and something to have it shipped here. So that may be something in the future. Anybody have any other suggestion of what you need? We have it's a small park, and there's a fair amount out there. Go.
Are you soliciting involvement from the audience?
Yes.
Okay. So, just for the benefit of the children.
Sure.
Live in Old Line. Got Candace Fuchs here as well. She and I and Greg Hack were the 3 original members of the fundraising committee that put together this money. And you've got a sheet in front of you of the finances, but it really doesn't capture the full breadth of what we've done. Well over $100,000 was raised. So if you're going to show a ledger to me, maybe show it from the beginning so then you can see really what was.
Well, I think that was the $40,000 or so for the docks. That's you're talking about part of the dock money that was originally for the town docks. Yeah.
That was the only donation that we got that was somewhat restricted.
Yes.
That person that wrote the check to fund the docks basically said you can keep the check, keep the money if the project's going to go forward and you actually are going to put docks in. That was the only restricted funds that we received at the time, but, you know, it was a pretty successful fundraising effort. You call it, I think the better way to do it is Haynes Park. I mean, at the top here, we have restricted donations. I'm not sure what that means.
That's Nicole's terminology. How about what I put down? The Haynes Park Fund for Town Enhancements?
Yeah, because it really, there were a lot of people that donated to that fund. It wasn't just rowers. The rowers certainly were very generous, but there were a lot of other people, non-rowers, that donated money as well.
Okay, so I'll have that title put on future tables?
Well, I just think, you know, to be inclusive and really know the players.
Was it the Haynes Park beautification fund?
Actually, the checks were made out to the town of Old Lyme.
The town of Old Lyme.
And maybe in the memo line, I don't have the brochure, I still have them at home, I don't have one with me tonight. I think it said something like Haynes Park.
There are many funds like this, Bob, that the town checks go out, but they're made for specific purposes.
Correct.
So it's not town money, it still has to be guided by the group.
Right.
That did it, so there's, you know, it's not
Right.
like.
But I'm just
By yours.
providing.
Well, we took the initiative to look around for pavilions, and I got a quote that was one of the best quotes from a reliable company that can deliver, and see, it looks especially the one with the furniture inside, it looks very nice.
Yep.
It's called the Easton style, and this is one of the lower styles. I mean, they go crazy.
I think he was still.
Yeah, I mean, you could get special wood and spend a lot more than what we're doing here. We're a 12 by 22 foot pavilion. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was just saying, I thought that Mr.
Yeah,
Fiddler was so much point.
So Candace reached out to me a month and a half ago, and, you know, we saw minutes, whether it was board finance minutes, selectmen minutes, park and rec minutes, that, you know, finally there was gonna be some action and activity with these funds. It was terrific. I mean, they've been kind of sitting, hopefully in a money market, I'm just kidding, collecting interest. That doesn't mean anything. It looks like there's already been a commitment to a pavilion, which is great. So, and I'm not gonna steal Candace's thunder, because she's really the one that has been thinking about this. She has some really good ideas, and I'd like to ask her to share those. But, you know, given the fact that the Park and Rec Committee has enough going on, one of the things that I was thinking about, does it make sense to maybe form a subcommittee to concentrate on just the Haynes Park beautification piece, you know, as a subset of Park and Rec, where you could invite maybe some folks from outside of the Park and Rec Commission, you know, residents at large. You know, we don't have to have a big committee, but to try to help and
Yeah, we
Park and Rec Commission
That's fine.
guide through the process.
Yeah, because we really don't have any ideas other than that. Although there is a new equipment going to be put in for a playground, and I don't know if we're going to have enough to cover the playground. That was put in the budget, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 2 years ago, from the town.
Right.
And so that may be something else that we could add to or whatever, but it's just good. Yeah, go ahead.
Bob, you're exactly right. When we put out our solicitation for folks to donate, it was intended that it would be for enhancements outside the scope of the project.
Right.
So things like a pavilion, things that weren't in the original scope. Don, you remember that? Bob, you remember that? And Nicole remembers that, because she was very specific, because just to give everyone a little history, we had encountered some challenges with the original project, and we had to go back and borrow some more money from the town, or had to go through an approval at a town meeting to get additional funding to finish the job.
Right.
In no way could we dip into this money to make up that shortfall, because that money was raised with, you know, Brendan, if I said, you know, donate to the park for enhancements, and all of a sudden we're putting roof shingles on the existing boathouse, that's not really the spirit of which that money was raised. So I think you're definitely on the right track with the enhancements. Playground equipment certainly would fall into that. Shrubbery would fall into that. Things that weren't part of the original scope, the pavilion, et cetera.
Right.
So, you know, there's still a pretty sizable chunk of money there. I mean, if I do the math right, if you've got a third deposit at $5,700, you got about $17,000. I know it's going to be rebid, but plus or minus, that's your bogey.
Well,
There's probably
Bob says that the quote for the
well, the pavilion, we paid a third, so there's $11,552 left for that. And then, you know, you subtract that from the 53,438, and there's 41,986, and then we have $6,400 for the concrete slab, and maybe enough to cover a 3-foot path to the pavilion. So that leaves you about $35,586 left.
Okay.
So there's a good.
Share that. I don't think are on this paper.
Okay, we'll put, yeah, I just did those calculations, and we'll add it to, yeah.
We're all on the same page. So
Right.
that's kind of what, and I know Candace has a list that she shared some ideas for, because she's a lot closer to this than I am. I'm just here to support the committee and meet with you all and see if we can get this thing moving in a good direction and offer our help if you need it.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, Candace, you have something to say?
Thank you very much, Skip. That was a great summary of our thoughts. So I think in summary, if we can have a representative from Park and Rec to join the expanded Haynes Park Beautification Committee, and we would recruit members also from town facilities and perhaps harbor management, who've also been very active at the park. You'll recall that harbor management installed a device for
Kayaks.
Kayaks last year.
Safe entry of kayakers.
So,
Yeah.
that multidisciplinary committee together can figure out what to do with the balance after the pavilion is completed. And of course, bring that to Park and Rec, who has authority over the property. So as Skip mentioned, some of the things we have in mind, I think top of mind for the park is a plan. Phil Parchak has mentioned it. It was mentioned in the Board of Selection meeting a week ago. And certainly if we start with a plan to address some of the issues that have come before most recently, particularly the management of drainage in the park, I think
Right.
that would be a really great start for this park. Because once we solve the drainage problem, we can do grading and grass, and then hopefully maybe with grass we can control the geese, and then the sky is the limit. So top of mind essentially is that call that the Board of Selectmen asked for engineering and drainage issues. So I thank the committee very much, and I'll look forward to hearing from you for a candidate to represent you on the expanded Haynes Park Beautification Commission.
Okay, we can have some sort of committee. I don't think it has to be a real big committee, and in fact, there is no committee at this time. So we have to establish one. Oh,
And just to amplify on a couple of points that, if I may, that Candace raised, I went out to the park today and actually walked around, and Candace's husband Paul was there. And I met the new men's coach, Leo Pelletier, and I kind of I wanted to get my head around some of the drainage drainage issues are the same that they've been for a long time. They're nothing new. And I have a little background in construction. Actually, we blow things up. I work with explosives, so I can't really offer
Destruction.
We do it in a constructive way, but I've certainly been on enough sites to know a little bit what's going on, and I think there are some solutions that need to be sought out and implemented out there, not just at the entrance near the boathouse, but at the far entrance to the, I guess I'll call it to the east side of the park. The original entrance needs some help. I then, because I wanted to be prepared a little bit for tonight, I did make a very impromptu call into Tim Griswold, and I had probably a half an hour discussion with him using my former skills as a selectman, and gave him some ideas to sort out some, because Route 1, that's the road that's in front, that's a state road, and I think they have some responsibility, myself, for the runoff that's taking place on Route 1 right now, as it's coming down and coursing through the park and eventually reaching the lake. That's a problem, and we've got to address that.
I think the initial problem with the lip and apron to the boathouse driveway was that it slanted towards the basketball court, so when it rained substantially, there was mud over that. And Phil did a quick fix. But now there's a little stream when it rains a lot that goes down adjacent to that driveway.
My point is just bringing that up, and Candace brought it up. I think that's probably a project that is going to be outside of the scope of Park and Rec per se, and certainly outside of the scope of these funds.
Right.
Earmarked for that. I think that's something that needs to,
We had a discussion at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, and it was a very good, I heard an engineer, and then go, oh, we're gonna pay more for an engineer, but you had, Martha had the suggestion, of, can't we get somebody from the state to come out as an engineer to look at it?
District 2.
And so we're looking forward, and I'm looking forward to attending that, and we should probably get the building inspector, Mark Whalen, and,
We don't have a town engineer now at present time because he's retired. We have people from Essex and Deep River and Sabre who fill in for us. So we can get their eyes on the project as well, to give us what they think. But to correct that is, and the Board of Finance the other night said the same thing, let's fix the problem, let's get that done.
right?
Before we start doing other things, because you want it to be nice, and you don't want to keep Band-Aiding things.
Right, right, that's, as we said at the last selectmen's, the special meeting, and, in fact, both Phil Parchik and our former inspector, John Flower, said that if we could get a pathway, an ADA pathway to reinforced turf, that qualified as hardened surface, and it's gradual to comply with the STEEP grant requires facilities to be attached with an ADA acceptable path, or, yeah, go ahead. I mean, what, you're,
Yeah, just a comment about the STEEP grant. STEEP grant had no requirement whatsoever. And don't sit there and show me that one section that the town has to be in compliance with ADA 1990.
oh,
That's a administrative section.
I will,
At the time the boathouse was built, there were no accessible buildings or features on the site. And our project had a very specific scope, which was agreed upon between the town and the state. And what was built fulfilled the requirements of the STEEP grant. They reviewed the project twice. They authorized the release of the bid documents. They would not have authorized release unless the drawings were in compliance with the STEEP grant. If anything, so the building itself, as built, was handicap accessible within the limits of that project. Now, if anything, when the new toilet building was built and handicap parking spots were installed, at that point, it was incumbent upon the people that did that project to then link the project to any other accessible facility, i.e. the boathouse. So let's understand whose responsibility the work is.
okay, I handed these out to the,
Yes, and they say nothing, they do not speak to that project. Well, that's incorrect.
If you read that, and also the fact
Bob, when you get some clarification, and that document that you're in your hand with the
Yeah.
state, that's actually for the contractors. They have to be ADA compliant when they're in the process of the project. And that's for the contractors. It's not necessarily for the finished project. So the scope work, paperwork, which is separate, and it's in a larger document, I think it's like 32 pages, correct? 32, 72 pages? How many pages is the scope project?
The STEEP grant
The whole
and the
thing.
contract included the terms and conditions and the scope of work.
Well, you should introduce yourself to me.
My name's Paul Gianquinto. I was one of the co-chairs of the Boathouse Building Committee for the Haynes Park?
Let's try and work to just solve the problems, okay? And one of the things is that you're right, the contractor was responsible to make sure, if you want to read in this part of the document that was signed by our former first select person, that, I'll read it to the group. The Americans with Disability, and this is the actual contract that was signed. Yeah, okay.
Did you read the whole contract?
I read a lot of it, I can't say,
Did you read the 1990 Americans with Disability Act?
yes, it's right here on the number 14.
You read the entire
Americans with Disability Act, no, I did not read the act.
Okay,
It just
you
said,
really don't know what's in American
may I just read
Disability
this first, and then you can comment? The contractor shall be and remain in compliance with the American with Disabilities Act of 1990, Act, to the extent applicable during the term of the contract. The DEEP may cancel the contract if the contractor fails to comply with the act. It's right here.
Okay, yeah, I read it.
Yeah.
Do you know who the contractor is?
I forget the name of it.
Okay, obviously you don't understand that contract. The contractor is the town of Old Lyme. They are referring to the contract between the state and the town.
Okay.
So the town of Old Lyme is the contractor. What they're saying is that the town has to be in compliance with ADA 1990. A lot of that, the majority of that, applicable to this project
Yes.
is non-discrimination in hiring practices, not to discriminate on the basis of race, color, creed, disability. All right? So handicap accessibility is a requirement, but it is not what that paragraph is talking about. Now, don't get me wrong. I think putting in handicap accessible path is an excellent thing to do.
That's the town's responsibility.
But let's do it for the right reason and not blame it on the STEEP grant.
Well,
The STEEP grant is done and dusted. They issued a grant, there was a scope assigned or included with that contract. The state reviewed the project, they reviewed the contract documents, they deemed them in compliance with the STEEP grant, and they authorized the documents to be issued for bid, which we did. The documents never showed any path, any walkways to any other features of the site. So, go ahead and put in all the handicap sidewalks you want. I think it's an excellent idea.
good.
Just don't sit there and blame it on the former committee or that you have to do it because of the STEEP grant. That's nonsense.
I'm just reading that it is advisable, according to what they provided, that not only do you have paved handicap spots with signage, but that paths should be ADA paths or sidewalks should go to the major facilities at where you're at. So being that we finally, with the second part of the project, was able to put the bathroom together, have the bathroom constructed, and that project included putting 2 handicap spots there, especially it made so much sense right by the bathroom, and such that now that we had the handicap spot, the next step was to put the handicap ADA acceptable paths or sidewalks to the facilities.
That was separate from the boathouse, that was not under the STEEP grant.
Bob, can I just interject for a minute?
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly confused. Are we talking about monies for the Haynes Park beautification committee that we're going to form, subcommittee that we're going to form,
Yeah.
for a pathway?
No, the town paid, used the town funds. The sidewalk to the boathouse was suggested by the
But how are we,
The facilities director.
Talking about forming a subcommittee for the beautification.
Right,
I don't understand that,
that's,
and I'm asking.
Well, that would, I would think that the town probably should be responsible for any pathway to the pavilion, and Martha, you can comment on that, and also the playground.
the biggest thing that is important right now is that you get a plan, you get someone to plan the park. Every town has them, and they plan them, they tell you exactly where you can have sidewalks, if you can have a 3-foot sidewalk, if you can have a 5-foot sidewalk. I mean, our zoning says the sidewalks are 5, but that is, under ADA, they can be 3 if they're short, a shorter length, under 100 feet, I believe.
Right.
You can have a 3-foot sidewalk. So we want someone who knows that, and who can say to you, hey, here's the best place. I mean, and you gotta work with inland wetlands, and you gotta work with the lake and all that. You gotta work it all together. And we're seeing so many new committees. And last year we had a big group, with the CDC, we got a great group of other different commissions. And we say, you guys are working on projects that all sort of intertwine with each other. Gotta work together, not separate. And that's what we're saying. Then the finished product is perfect. You get everybody's input before you start doing stuff. This particular sidewalk issue came up because Phil didn't get approval. He didn't pass it through the Board of Selectmen. He just told Bob, we'll take care of it. And he didn't have approval.
Well, this is, I pointed out to you,
Totally different.
that Phil Parchik said that the town was going to do these two things.
I know.
Okay, so I would
But
assume,
Phil's not here.
Yes.
So now we're moving forward, so it's been
Right.
progress.
Which sidewalk are you talking about?
well, the sidewalk that goes along the basketball
That
court.
just went in.
Yeah, and that was planned by the facilities director, diagrams or plots were done. And unfortunately, because of that little stream that runs through there, we're about 2 feet or so short of the hardened surface of the what type, what was corn cobs, the
The hexagonal.
hexagonal
Reinforced.
reinforced turf, right.
Okay.
And so the idea is if we fix the drainage problem, then we can have either the reinforced turf a little bit more put to the sidewalk, or we can have, when they come back to put the platform in for the pavilion, put the extra couple feet of a sidewalk to get to what's considered by at least the former facilities director and former John Flower,
Building.
yeah, that would be acceptable.
You might also consider one of those mobile maps, because wheelchairs travel on those, and then they could get down to the sandy section of the lake.
Once we solve the drainage. Right.
So let's just, but I think it's a great idea to get the committee, someone from here, someone from there, and maybe some parents who use the lake, often, who's done, you might know them, because they're down there. Maybe somebody, you know, somebody who's
Yeah.
down there a lot.
Yeah, that's fine.
You can get a nice high school senior who plays basketball down there, to their ideas.
Yeah, well, let's put maybe, would 5 people be enough for this subcommittee? I would think so.
Well, I think, well, if we're thinking a representative from the group that raised the money, and a representative from your group, and a representative from harbor management, now we're at 3. We need
Yeah.
somebody from the town next
So-
door,
Yeah, okay.
and so, you know, if 5 is the number you like, I could go
Well,
with 5.
I think it's,
All sounds perfectly reasonable to me.
yeah,
I think it's important that it's multidisciplinary.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It needs to have a representative from a legal perspective. It needs to have a representative from the people who originally raised and created the fund. Because they're the ones that as we learned from Board of Finance.
Commissioners, sounds very reasonable to me.
Perfectly reasonable to me, and in fact, if we're gonna have 5 people, maybe there should be 2 people from the people who raise the money. If they are the ones who raise the money, they should have, I would imagine, Skip would have a general idea as to what it should be spent for or toward.
Yeah.
It would make a lot of sense for me to get their input. I think it's a totally reasonable idea.
Okay.
I have one question.
Yes.
For a plan, I mean, that's great. We know how costly those things can be. Where would that money come from?
Actually, there's already renderings that were done. When the boathouse was being built, renderings were already done. Paul has some on his computer. Bonnie has some in her file. Bonnie has some left in her file that is supposed to be in First Selectman's office. But renderings were done of how the park could look. And you could start from there.
Yeah.
Including all the way over to the playground and all that?
Yep.
Because the playground position's gonna be the same as what's out there now. The only thing that's changed is we first were thinking about putting the pavilion closer to the restroom, and we listened to people that said that, well, you know, we got this whole other area over there, why not put it there? We went through, Don reapplied with inland wetlands, and we got the approval for a site that's just about over where the swing set is now, so that way people could sit there and look at the lake, and they could look at the playground. There's a bench right by the playground that makes sure you put it under shady tree, because you need the shade, especially in the summer. So I'm not quite sure why another engineered plan would be.
Because when you start to put in ADA walks, you want to have someone who has the knowledge of where they should go, how long they should be, the curvature of it. All of that plays into ADA requirements. And if you're going to do it right, get it done right. And even in some cases, if certain grades, there's supposed to be a handrail next to the sidewalk, because for someone who actually might just be using a walker or is having issues with walking, that's also an ADA. It's not just a wheelchair. So you have to think of all these things. And yeah, it might take a little bit of town money, but if it's done right and it's going to be with us for the next 25 to 50 years, it's done.
Well, we could pull out those old plans, because basically the only thing that's different is this pavilion.
Right.
That's the only thing that's different. And does the town want to go to the expense of getting a new?
Well, let's find out, Bob. Let's find out what it would cost. I mean, sometimes too, you don't realize, but we have a lot of resources right here in town of people who will volunteer.
Well, could somebody volunteer to be on the subcommittee that could provide that? I mean, that would be the best thing to do. Yeah.
Just add to what Martha has said. I also stopped by land use today because I wanted to see, obviously, the sidewalk along the basketball court got things going, and I went out and I was trying to figure this out. I can tell you I was on the bathroom committee with Phil. Don, we were on it as well. We had Mark was on it. It was a pretty small, very efficient committee. And I don't remember any talk at that time about installing a sidewalk where that sidewalk got installed recently. I don't remember that. It might have been there, but I don't remember that. Do you?
I don't remember exactly either, Skip.
I remember us doing the paved parking spots. We knew we had to do that, and we had to do the sidewalk going to the restroom. But as far as going across the whole park, 115 feet or whatever it is, I don't remember that discussion. So that project, that sidewalk project, is not even in the scope of the bathroom project.
No.
It wasn't in the scope of the boathouse project, nor was it in the scope of the bathroom.
I think part of the reason it was because all the funds were used up.
So, to Martha's point, let's pump the brakes, let's stop before we go too much further, because I went up and I was trying to see what the plan was, because I was trying to understand where's the sidewalk going to. And I thought, well, maybe it's tying into the pavilion. Well, the land use, Kim showed me what had been most recently submitted, and the pavilion has been moved maybe 3 times already, okay?
Yes.
So I'm thinking maybe it's in the best spot possible right now. Who knows? But you gotta just stop and figure out where that best spot is the first time, hopefully, so that if you're putting, I'm presuming that you're gonna have to have a concrete pad there, and I'm presuming you're gonna have to have a sidewalk of some sort going to the newly installed pavilion.
As long as it's,
So the last thing you wanna do is saying, we want it here, and then we wanna move it again. So, let's just stop, we're spending money, let's do it the right way, the first time.
So
That's all I'm saying.
I think that's a good idea to have on this subcommittee, someone with that knowledge,
I
because,
personally think we should have the town facilities director as part of that group as well. That would be my recommendation, with my experience. When we did the bathroom project, we had Phil, and that was really nice to have that inside track. That would be my recommendation for the 5th. I appreciate your suggestion to have
Or maybe we have
some fundraising, but I think that would be a very good resource for that committee. That's my
Questions, do you know if, when the toilet building was completed, the site plan for the park was updated?
Yes.
Do you know if an as-built survey was done?
They were struggling today, Paul, they were struggling today, I was up there in land use, and I was trying to get a copy of that. And I think, and I was actually with Mark Whalen, who's the building official, and it was a town project, so, you assume that these things are done. I think they were kind of trying to find where the actual thing was. He put in front of me, because there had to be approvals, because we had to get a variance, because where we put the new restroom was closer to the road and all that jazz, we had to get approvals and all that. So I believe, yes. But did I see it with my own eyes? No. But I've got to believe that exists. I don't have that knowledge, I can't answer.
Because that would be the perfect place to start, and absolutely
Yeah.
take the existing record drawings of this park and start marking that up with ideas, and get comments.
Agreed.
The other question I have is, does anybody know if that sidewalk was permitted? Was a permit issued for that sidewalk?
I asked Mark today, the building official, according to him, it didn't need a permit.
That's incorrect.
Okay.
You should have him read the state building code and the town ordinances.
Okay.
There is no requirement for a permit for sidewalk, pavement, driveway, if it's less than 30 inches above adjacent grade, and it doesn't go over a occupied space, and it's not part of a handicap accessible route. If it's part of a handicap accessible route, the project needs to be permitted.
Okay.
And if it's not permitted and you install it, you're subject to fine or imprisonment. For the state and the town regulation. Just thoughts.
well, this was all handled, as I said, by the former facilities director and the former building inspector. Now,
Folks are responsible for what happens in that park property, correct?
well, we're responsible for the management and development of the park property, yes.
And then I think it behooves you to be aware of what should be happening and the process that should be followed. Again, I think it's a wonderful idea to have handicapped routes through the park. All for it. But there is a process for getting that done, and people should not be shortcutting that process.
I just want you to know that Matt Warden and I serve as co-chairs for the Shoreline Gateway Committee. And last week, two weeks ago, at our meeting, we invited Eric Knapp, we invited Tim, we invited Harold Thompson from Planning, and we invited Paul Orzo from Zoning to sit with us, to sort of go through, okay, here's the things that we have questions on. And they were a wealth of information to provide to us so that we aren't even in the pre-planning stages of the Shoreline Gateway. But we wanted to ask those questions now, before we did anything, went any farther, and they all were so receptive and helpful, and, said, okay, and we're gonna invite you back. Get a few more months of meetings in, and then we'll invite you back. Because that's what they're there for. And we need to work together as a town so much. We need to work together separately in each group, we need to work together.
Okay, so I think the action plan is twofold. We were already gonna get somebody from the state to take a look at the driveway and the drainage problem, correct? And we should include Eric in that, we should include the building inspector, a representative from Park and Rec, this and that, whenever this person arrives. And make sure that everyone's in agreement. And then we'll be able then to apply for getting a contractor to do what whoever the engineer is that says this will be, the original intent of that driveway was for the water to go straight down to be absorbed into the reinforced turf. But unfortunately, that didn't happen because the water went onto the basketball court. So Phil did the quick fix at that time until we could do something better. So I think we do have the plan. If we're going to get this engineer out there and meet with some of the applicable town representatives.
Well, I think what we do is get your committee together, and Tim was supposed to call the DOT person for our district to tell him that we need somebody to come.
So that's one thing. The other thing I'm hearing is that we should put together a subcommittee of 5 or 6 people or whatever, try and get an expert, get 1 or 2 people from the fundraising, at least 1 representative from Park and Rec.
It's great, Brendan did it because then you got legal.
I don't know if you want my legal on that.
Yeah, well.
But, I mean, if I can just interject and hopefully we can move on. If I'm listening to Martha correctly, maybe this subcommittee shouldn't be 6 people, it should be 15. If it's about a cooperative effort and people with expertise from, apparently, a lot of tentacles are out there. There's a lot of moving parts for something like this. Why limit it now? Why not get as many people with the expertise needed on something where there's so many moving parts all together to try to move this forward? That's my thought process, if I'm understanding that correctly.
Well, you can always invite people in, like we did.
Guest, yeah.
And then that too, just so long as it's open to it, because I agree with the do it right the first time theory.
Okay.
Can I just say, I also agree with the idea of stopping and creating a plan for this, because otherwise it's just a subcommittee with more people deciding let's move the pavilion over there, right? I mean, there needs to be a coordinated plan for fundraising. Raised a lot of money. If there's a plan that makes it 100 times better and you need more money, maybe the town chips in, maybe there's more fundraising, who knows?
I think the concept is that this committee would drive the process of creating a plan. We would start with, looking out to the town and find out what people want. I personally have heard that people want pickleball. Maybe we should have put.
Was the pickleball, did you say?
I don't know what the town wants. I don't think it's anybody's.
Don, you want to comment?
Really to say, unilaterally what the town
We're
wants.
not saying that's going in. We're just
she's
saying,
making-
people have ideas.
Yeah.
A lot of different voices from people with small kids, people who like to walk dogs, people who
Like the
to
survey we
pickleball.
took.
Find out what
This is
people want in the park, and then use that to drive a plan and have engineering advice. And this is all work that you guys spend a lot of time here doing Park and Rec, and you've got a lot of other parks to worry about. So this is a job for a separate committee, and I'll welcome.
But the separate committee will report to you.
Right, right. And I think everyone at the table agrees that would be a good idea, right? And let's make a motion to set up this committee of, are we in agreement that 5 would be enough?
I don't think that.
We don't need to put a number on it, I don't think.
We don't.
Don't put a number on it. No.
Okay, so we'll make a motion to have a subcommittee to look into this these issues, and then we go from there. And hopefully, if we need experts, we can just invite experts to converse with that committee and the Park and Rec.
I guess I would ask, I think it's smart not to limit the number at this point, but I think you need to have, say, at least, at a minimum, you need a representative of, and then additional can fill in, because I think you need to say, at least one representative from Park and Rec, one from the fundraising committee, one from Harbor.
Harbor management.
Okay, so that's 4 now. And who else?
Accounting facility director,
Fundraising.
I don't think Board of Finance needs to be involved there, because you'll be reporting to them.
So who would the 5th person be?
Harbor.
So we're saying a representative from the commission that raised the money,
Right.
Park and Rec, Harbor Management, and Facilities Director.
And who, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that last one.
The town Facilities Director.
Oh, the facilities, yes. That's fine.
And I would say, since Don's not a member of the commission, I think Don, as Park and Rec director, should be involved in that committee.
Or-
I know how helpful he was with the bathroom committee, and he's really got some good ideas.
Okay?
Well, okay.
Success.
So let's make a motion to put this committee together. At the next meeting, we'll,
You need a motion, and you need a second, and you need a...
oh, I know, yeah, we'll
No.
make a motion. I don't know if we have to discuss it much more, but, okay, so somebody would like to make a motion for that. Brendan, you're the
I will
lawyer.
make the motion.
Yeah.
I'll try and regurgitate it as best I can, to form a subcommittee for Haynes Park beautification, whatever the proper title may be, is fine, with 5 people, including Don, Facilities Manager, Beautification Committee, Harbor Management, and Park and Rec Commission.
Correct.
Now, is the beautification committee the same as the fundraising?
Yeah.
That's the Haynes Park.
Okay,
I like
so,
that.
all right. Okay, so it's, minimum representatives from Park and Rec, the fundraising committee, Harbor Management Commission, the town facilities director, and Don Bugby.
Or Winnie could sub for you, Don, or would we like to have Winnie on that? Because Don is really
That's,
spread thin, but it could be either
Let
one.
it go, Bob.
Okay,
Let it go.
all right.
Second.
Okay, second? Okay, well, all those in favor of commission?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
okay. Anyone opposed? No? Abstain? No? We already had the discussion. Normally, you're supposed to do it after the motion, but does anyone want to discuss it further? No? Okay. All right. So we're going to do that. We'll put it in writing for the next meeting and go from there. And hopefully we can get the experts from the state, and any experts we need don't have to be on this particular committee.
okay, let's move on.
Yeah, all right. Can we move on?
Please.
Okay. Next one is the LAX, the lacrosse fields, practices, and games.
Chair you're sitting on is broken.
Don't lean back.
What happened?
I'll lean back, I'll swap it right out.
What happened? The chair's broken? And we can't lose that guy.
Fix it later.
Okay, so we're on to the next one, and we're gonna change, just a reminder, we'll change that heading for the funds to the Haynes Park Fund for Town Enhancements. Correct? We agreed on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so the next one is LAX Fields, Practices, and Games. Don, you want to give a summary of where that is?
Okay. On February 17th, myself and...
Thanks for coming, Skip.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
February 17th, myself and Winnie met with representatives of the Connecticut River Lacrosse Club, Phil Orlando and Hillary Sigersmith, and Mark Cable from the Lima Lime Soccer Club. As usual, we meet at this time of year to discuss the upcoming spring season at Townwoods Park involving the lacrosse club activities and the soccer club activities. At that time, what was discussed, there was no rosters provided to me at that time. There was no schedules provided to me at that time because they didn't have them at that time. The sign-ups were ongoing. But at that meeting, it was discussed the lacrosse club based on last year's situations with the overuse of Townwoods Park and other towns representing people in the lacrosse club not providing fields. The lacrosse club members indicated that they would be playing this year at Townwoods Park, the old Lima Lime High School turf field, the Old Saybrook turf field, the small field on Ferry Road in Old Saybrook, Essex Elementary School, Old Saybrook High School field areas, grass areas, and then possibly at the town park in Old Saybrook off Schoolhouse Road was a maybe, and John Winthrop School up in the Valley area was a maybe. Registration was ongoing for both the clubs. Soccer practices indicated they were going to be starting around April 25th, with games starting the second week of May through June 10th. And the lacrosse was going to be, weather permitting, starting in April, May, and wrapping up in June. And that was the basic meeting we had. There was discussion about how we were going to fit everything. I made the same discussions I did last year about other towns providing fields to use so we weren't overwhelmed and overusing Townwoods Park. That was my responsibility to the residents of the town of Old Lyme and Lyme. And then it got a little excited between the two groups, and the meeting kind of ended. And you've all been given the email going back and forth, and the latest one today, two groups have reconciled so far. Two letters from each group. I'd like to have them attached to the minutes. I think that's a good idea. What's that?
All of them or just today's?
Just the two, the one from the soccer club and one from the lacrosse club.
Okay.
Not all the emails, just these two letters.
Oh, all right, okay.
They've reached an
If the commission thinks that's correct.
Yeah, because they've agreed to work it out. Be
So
nice.
what's happened?
The date on those, Donna?
Today,
Today.
March 2nd. Well, one of them's not dated, but I got them both today.
Okay.
This is all 11th hour.
Oh, okay.
So, it looks like the two groups have reconciled a little bit and anticipate working out a schedule for their uses of, in our case, Townwoods Park. They have no jurisdiction over anything else where they use fields. So they're going to meet again at a undetermined time now, as of today. I will be involved with that meeting to see where it's going. I will be obviously requesting schedules so we can figure out where they're going, if they're fairly distributing use of the fields. The lacrosse club provided me some information today about their numbers of kids registered, and there are up to 255 kids in the club, which 92 are from Lyme or Old Lyme, which is about 36% of the club is from Lyme and Old Lyme. 83 kids are from Old Saybrook, which is about 33%, and there's 74 from the Valley area, which includes Deep River, Chester, and Essex, which is about 29%. And then there's some lower numbers, 3 from Westbrook, 2 from East Haddam, and 1 from East Hampton.
I was surprised there were no Clinton, since they closed.
Well, I had heard that rumor too, but they have provided me no information about Clinton people participating with them.
Okay.
So, that's the numbers. I don't have numbers from the soccer club yet. I discussed with them the present and since the inception of Townwoods Park, the rules that by season, the primary users of the fields in the springtime will be the lacrosse club, with the soccer club filling in the blanks. It's always worked, and the opposite is in the fall, with soccer club having priority of Townwoods Park in the fall. The lacrosse club has never played out there officially in the fall, so that hasn't been an issue. So that's where we are briefly. When I will talk to them again, there's still issues out there that, in my opinion, are unresolved, and I think the commission can talk about that now and agree or disagree. But there's still the issues of the valley area towns providing fields for practices and games for the lacrosse club. As of right now, I don't know if there's any. So in that regard, when I talk to them, I will be willing to go with them to talk to the facilities director or superintendent or principals or athletic director in the valley area to figure out why they can't provide fields. So that way I will get a straight answer as to why, because it's just not happening now. I don't know why that is. So that's where,
Yeah, go ahead.
that's where we are. Reader's Digest version of everything that happened. So if anybody's got anything.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, because like my kids played lacrosse, and they used to play at that field right by Valley, across from the stadium there, and we used to have cooperation from what do they call it, the Tri-Town area or something like
Yeah.
that, Deep River, and da-da-da. And so I don't understand, and that's why I'm glad, Don, that you were gonna try and facilitate this by also appearing. I think, as we spoke before, it'd be nice to have an in-person meeting to discuss this, if possible, rather than just emails or...
Well, I think they were ready to show up tonight, Bob. I think that there were a lot that were ready to come here tonight, save the agreement that happened between the soccer club.
Yes.
I think that they were ready.
There's still issues on the table in the lacrosse, and I'm not going to speak exactly for them, but in my opinion, and what I think the Parks and Rec Commission has agreed upon all these years, is that they're expecting some reciprocation with field uses for these other towns. And the lacrosse club is of the opinion that they are primarily an Old Lyme club based in Old Lyme with other people in it, and they expect the use of Townwoods Park just like the soccer club would in full force. I have a hard time agreeing with that. And
Well, we didn't. We had a meeting last year with them.
I know that. We don't have to go through all that, but I'm just saying that that's still out there, and that will still be addressed by me.
Good.
There's still open issues on the table. I'm glad that these two groups have decided to stop name-calling and working together. That's fine, but there's still a lot to clear up. But that's still going to be a stumbling block in their mind, as far as I am hearing.
Well, I greatly appreciate that you're going to help try and facilitate this, because we did discuss this with them last year, and we don't know exactly why they can't use, Ryan, you, with the soccer club, you guys used John Winthrop?
We played a game there.
Yeah. So if they allow the soccer club to play there, why aren't they? We heard that the old athletic director, I guess, shot it down for some reason, but there was going to be a new athletic director, remember at the meeting we had last year? And they were going to discuss it with him, but now I'm glad you're going to get involved too, Don, because we're getting close to the opening of the season.
I want to say that I appreciate all of Don's efforts in helping to facilitate these conversations between the two clubs. I am grateful that the two clubs came to this agreement before tonight. I think we all had a lot of anxiety about this meeting tonight if that didn't happen. And I'm happy that cooler heads have prevailed. I think that something needs to be done about this so that this isn't an issue every spring.
Every spring.
Like, no, we should not have to head into this every single spring. So I think at the very least, I love the idea of you helping them, offering, going with them to meet with these people that maybe they have or have not met with. We don't know. I don't know. But at the very least, we should have a follow-up meeting with them after the season. How did it go? Were there problems? You know, why don't we just make whatever happened this year, even if they never get fields at Valley, which I agree that they should, did it work this year, and can that be just be the agreement going forward? Because we shouldn't have to have this fight every year.
Right. And it only really came to a head last year. Before that, I don't know about the year before.
It's built, last year it blew up.
Yeah, last
That's
year.
where we are, and now we're trying to fix it.
Yeah.
Again, I'll be meeting them probably several times before it gets all started, and in touch with them, obviously, during the seasons. But as far as meeting them after the seasons, I can arrange that, no problem.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I admit that I've coached soccer for many years. I've been coaching in the soccer club for a few years. There are issues when the field coordinators from the two clubs don't stay up to date with each other's schedules.
Right.
And I imagine that that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, reschedules happen the day before sometimes.
Right.
And it's difficult to completely keep up with all that, but as long as, you know, people just understand that and can work around it. Like, I had a field scheduled one time and had to move my game halfway across town woods because lacrosse had priority. I understood that in the moment, but at the same time, I've got New London here to play a game against us. All their parents are sitting right there. Their team's warming up over there. Like,
Yeah, too bad
we
it couldn't
both have
have
a game on the field.
Yeah, too bad it couldn't have been worked out prior to that day.
Yeah, but that comes down to there's no master calendar for the park, and the two clubs have to keep track of each other's schedules.
Well, Don is supposed to get those schedules.
Well, I get those schedules, but they, like he says,
That's
it
not
changes.
it's not Don's responsibility
right.
to maintain a calendar of all the games on all the fields.
So what I've done in the past is, in the spring, lacrosse will get their schedule, get to me, and I'll look at it, and then I take a look at it as like, where all the games and practices are, is it somewhat equal, blah, 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 and last year is when it blew up. I don't manage their schedule. I don't even think the club manages their schedule. It comes from their organization, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, and it was always clear that the soccer club could take space at Townwoods Park when it was available. And the agreement was that they would keep tabs of that schedule so they would know as soon as possible where openings were or if something happened. Now, if somebody doesn't do that, then you get those situations.
Yeah.
That's completely out of my control, other than telling these people, this is what you got to do to make this work.
I think at the very least, having the schedules that I saw in those letters makes a lot of sense for practices. It sounds like it can work out for practices. For the weekends, for games, that's going to come down to the field coordinator, you know, soccer's field coordinator keeping up with lacrosse schedule and last-minute changes, and soccer just has to understand that those are going to happen.
Yeah. One of the things that I talked about to them, if possible, was to separate the fields. Like, just say, field 3 was going to be a soccer field. Field 2 is going to be a lacrosse field. It makes it easier for lining the fields, and then there's no confusion.
Yeah.
That didn't exactly work out in their minds, but that's what I'm still pushing for.
Well, they did
Well, it seemed like that's
consider
what
that.
they agreed on, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one of the emails we got.
Yes.
They seem to agree with that, what you
Right.
just said.
Right.
So let's just make sure that
Right.
they still agree.
Yeah, it makes it easier for us to line the fields because they're not different colors and,
Yeah,
you know, female and male lines are different on lacrosse, and soccer's got to be another color, and if they could separate them, it'd be easier.
Okay.
I mean, if you go to the turf field, they're all marked out in permanent colors, but painting them in grass fields, and it's...
Okay.
I think you worked very hard to help make this happen, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think I speak on behalf of all the commissioners. We appreciate the both of the Herculean effort trying to be a peacemaker here.
About bylaws.
Yeah.
So, for Townwoods, going back to lacrosse thing with the kids involved, is there anything specific about old line teams? Does it go further than that? Because I could get a team of 100 kids, it'd be
No.
25, 25, 25, and I could say, I'm based in Old Lyme.
Right.
So that's
Right,
easy
there's-
for anybody to do.
there's nothing that addresses that, because when Townwoods Park was built and the rules were put in place, there was a soccer club made up of Lyme and Old Lyme kids, and there was a lacrosse club made up of just Lyme and Old Lyme kids. So it was kind of easy. It's gotten complicated based on the lacrosse clubs.
Yeah. And I'd like to add that Townwoods Park is almost 19 years old now from the opening. It opened 19 years ago, September 19th of this year, it'll be 19 years. And basically everyone has played very fairly, spoke very fairly, and worked all this out until we had the problem last year. And
Well, we did pretty fairly through the years, but
yeah, pretty fairly.
but nothing like last year.
Yeah, so I think we want to move on, right? I think everybody ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The commission might need to, like Tim was talking about, the commission might need to address the situation, situations more specifically.
We may want to add to the rules that already exist for Townwoods Park.
I think we need to, because I think what the intent of that whole thing was to foster Old Lyme kids programs, not to foster programs that were based out of Old Lyme. The intent of Townwoods was
Yeah.
for Old Lyme kids. Now
And because-
that we're beyond that scope, so something, I'm not sure the right process, but something needs to be done to,
But because we got almost $1.5 million from Connecticut grants for the baseball, for the soccer fields, lacrosse fields, and baseball fields, that has to be open to the public.
Well, along
And it
those
is.
lines it is, because if you play the team from Groton, those are kids from other
Right.
communities that are using the facility.
Right.
We accommodate pretty darn well, I think.
And anybody can go there if the fields aren't being used
Right.
and play
But
there.
Tim is making a good point, and there are no rules to address the fact that a premier soccer program could start up around here that would be
Sure it could, yeah.
I could base it out.
fourth grade through eighth grade or high school,
Yeah.
and would draw kids from every town around here.
Right.
And
Well, they've tried to come in through the years, various groups like that. And I've kind of held them off a little bit
the
because
point is,
fields are
if it's
being
based
used.
in Old Lyme, then it's the same argument
Same as
as
the lacrosse.
lacrosse.
Right. I think the commission needs to get into those rules.
Well, okay.
And we were on top of the whole, I mean, I remember with Jeff Flower coming in.
Yes.
You know, years ago with the lacrosse, saying that other teams have to contribute to their percentage of players, other towns.
For
And
the
it was,
field.
we were having trouble way back then. I mean, that's
Yeah.
been, and that's.
Townwoods Park is a very nice facility for being about 19 years old. It still looks pretty good.
Great.
We could take good care of it, and everybody wants to go there, which is fine. The issues with the other towns, with something like the lacrosse club, has to be resolved.
Yes, it does.
Case closed. Has to be resolved.
But I don't think that the two lacrosse representatives that have been here are the ideal candidates to go. I think you're a better one for doing that with the Valley representatives. I think there's an attitude there that maybe isn't appreciated.
You're being very polite.
I'm trying to, but I think that they, you have to have some, Donnie's very good at that.
Well, Don's going to go with someone from,
Yeah, I'm not going by myself.
he's not
No.
going by himself.
No, but I think that you are very, I can't think of what I'm trying to say.
So,
Diplomatic.
Yes, you're very diplomatic.
Don, you may suggest that.
Okay, let's move on from.
Okay, yeah, let's move on. All right, so the next one's the director's report and update on PRC programs and facilities.
Okay.
That's yours, Don.
All right, programs. Adult volleyball, the winter sessions are in process, and they will wrap up March 16th. We're probably going to we're finding out tonight, that's where Winnie is tonight at volleyball. We're going to see of the interest of continuing that through the spring. They probably will, so I'll update on that. Winter adult basketball, winter sessions are in process right now. They will wrap up March 29th on Wednesdays, and Sundays, March 26th. We got confirmation that our spring sessions are good to go. They will be starting April 2nd on Sundays, April 5th on Wednesdays, and going through the end of May in both of those programs. Zumba Fitness, the winter session is in process through March 7th. Again, we're finding out if spring sessions are going to work out or not. Yoga, the winter session wrapped up February 15th, and that program is over for the year. We have with the same instructor, we have a new spring session of Pilates program. That's the same time frame that yoga was down at Mile Creek School, and that goes through April 5th. There are currently 6 people. Yesterday was the first day. There's 6 people participating in that. Winter youth basketball. The winter sessions were completed last Saturday, February 25th. I thought the basketball program went very well this year. There was more kids than we've had in a long time. And one of the things that we're back up to using 2 gyms to get it all in. And one of the things that was a big enhancement, I think, is that we had enough girls to separate the girls and boys, not at the preschool level, which is a new program, but at kindergarten and up. We separate them, and that's a lot nicer for the girls. Sarah helped out. Sarah had kids in the preschool thing. That was a good coordinator for the preschoolers.
Well, it was parent, 1-to-1, and then I stepped in one day for Winnie, who did a phenomenal job the rest of the week.
What we did as an introduction, we've been doing preschool soccer for a number of years, 3- and 4-year-olds. This was the first year for preschool basketball because it's pretty tough. And we did what Winnie and I called a pilot program. We wanted to put 20 kids in there with the agreement that when they signed up, they had to have a parent with them to get it going. And next thing you know, we had about 40 kids. So it's working pretty well.
That's great.
Summer staff, I'm still going through that process right now. Currently, there's 19 people confirmed coming back. 12 are not returning. That's higher than normal. 5 are unsure at this time. New applications are being accepted at this point going forward. As far as lifeguards, we are building up a list of interested candidates, and Whitney has been in contact with Valley Shore YMCA and East Lyme Aquatic Center to arrange our own lifeguard certification class for our candidates. So I'll give you an update on that. Summer camps. The summer camp schedule is being developed this time, and registrations are expected to start by April 3rd, and I'll give you updates as soon as we have those. Parks and Rec facility status obviously is previously stated at the February meeting. Everything's pretty much closed up, open for use, but all the facilities are closed. And that's it for that part.
Okay, anybody have anything to add or want to say about Don's report? Okay.
I'd say the basketball program was great. My son had a great time at it, and I love the idea of doing the preschool stuff because my oldest son was 3 or 4. He couldn't do basketball in Old Lyme, so we went over to Westbrook Park and Rec or Clinton maybe, and had a great time there. So I think it's awesome. Obviously, there's interest in it.
Yeah.
Can they reach the rim in basketball?
I assume they're short.
Dribbling, bounce passes.
Got smaller.
Oh, yeah, you put a smaller rim. Oh, good. All right.
I'll figure it out, Bob.
Okay. All right. So the next thing on the agenda is the Haynes Park playground equipment. As you recall, we got quotes about a year or so ago on the 3 designs, and the commission said either the least expensive or the middle expensive one seemed to be the one to go with. And Don, you're going to give us an update.
Well, Sarah, Missy, and I met informally way back in November, and we need to meet again to see where we're going forward. This is going to tie into the earlier discussion, too, about the parks.
Yes, that seems to be a good tie-in for this subcommittee that's going to be created if we possibly need more funding than was provided by the town.
So I'll give you an update of
Okay.
Or me, we'll try to meet next week, unless you're gonna world travel again.
I'm home.
Oh, okay,
Do you
okay.
think this would become part of the plan, or is this gonna go where you?
Well, the playground,
I'm guessing it should now, based on the discussion we had.
because that would be a good thing for the funding, the Haynes Park Fund for town enhancements.
Well, it just makes sense, it's all one space.
Yeah.
From more of a planning.
So we may have that subcommittee comment, if we're gonna need, whatever we're gonna need, extra.
Right.
Okay. All right, next thing is last month when we were here, the representative from the senior center was here about this gate location, and I believe, she said that, you were gonna meet with Tim Good, okay, so you want the summary of that?
A meeting was held here on February 13th to discuss the senior center building renovation project and the proposed relocation of the gate at Townwoods Park. At the meeting was myself, Tim Griswold, Dave Lom, the Lime Selectman, Jerry Baker from the senior center, and I believe she's on the building committee too. Yeah. Matt Weber, the Old State Trooper, Dominic Solari, Old Police Department, and Stephanie Gould, the Senior Center Director. There was a general discussion of the construction dates, construction duration, and the facility access. It was requested also that the gate to Townwoods Park be moved closer to Townwoods Road. And there was a discussion about that. No decisions were made, so updates will be provided. The reason, I think, maybe Martha, you can help out on this. Senior Center was requesting that a gate be moved out there to close the whole place off, not only during construction, but at other times. There are some issues with that. Two different groups, Parks and Rec and the Senior Center, with different schedules as coordinating opening and closing the gate. I suggested just putting a second gate or a gate by the Senior Center similar to what ours is. I thought that made more sense to me, because if there's one gate moved out closer to Townwoods Road, it wouldn't be placed right on Townwoods Road. It would be inside, so somebody could pull in there and turn around and get out of there if the gate was closed. But the problem, one of the issues was that the Senior Center folks don't care for some of the people when they park over in their place. The rowers had a situation where they were parking there on away regattas and stuff like that. But if we open the gate up in the morning out by Townwoods Road, then the whole place is open, whether the senior center is there or not. So that's why I thought a second gate was a better idea, but there's a lot of decisions to be made about that.
Yeah, there has to be an adequate turnaround too, if there's only gonna...
Right, well, they talked about that, and that would be a thing, but it's the decision has to be made, is there gonna be one gate to close off the whole thing, or two gates?
Mm. And as far as when they do the construction at the senior center, it's the contractor has to put fencing around the whole area, so...
Right, so that was part of the general discussion.
That's not that'll be taken care of.
Well, that was part of the general discussion.
Yeah.
I'm not on that committee or anything like that, so I don't really have up-to-date information.
That's what they have to do, I mean.
Well, I can say that, Matt and I mentioned, we were reviewing budgets and stuff, that just big art was concerned, and she couldn't move the gate. And then you get these dump trucks and everything moving in for construction, and if one of them hits the gate, then we're out of gate. We just moved to a $6,000 gate, and then so it's better to do it faster. Like you said, the fencing's gonna go up around.
Right, after the construction.
Keep everything the way it is right now, and then.
Exactly.
It's gonna be back over there now, dig the new hole, move it in.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't...
That seems a logical thing to do.
It is logical, but,
The practical, logical, and why can't everybody see that?
So, I don't know I know they want to move to it. They're gonna start construction, they're talking October.
Right. And the construction is, they're saying 9 to 12 months possibly, the whole project.
Just to get the condition, it's probably gonna take us 4 months just to work out all the logistics.
Yeah.
That certainly shouldn't be done until senior center's completed.
So I don't have any real details I have no information about the senior center project itself, other than it's probably gonna start in, the fall. We're usually out of there the first, maybe the second week of November. Parks and Rec is usually done by the first week of November, soccer club maybe another week, so that shouldn't be too much of an interference with all of our activities, and like I told Jerry Baker, I said, most of the construction, I'm assuming, is gonna be taking place during the day, and our activities are in the evenings or on weekends. So, there shouldn't be a lot of interference, but who knows?
Should be.
But if there's ultimately one gate for the whole complex, and the parks are supposed to close at sunset, doesn't that kind of eliminate the ability to use that building in the dark?
Well, what we do now is we close around sunset when I check people off the fields. In the summertime, like when Stephanie has her summer concerts and stuff, which usually on Thursday nights, they have overflow parking. They use their parking in the park as well. And we just coordinate with each other, and she closes the gate in the evening after they're done, because we would be closing it before they're done. So we work that out.
Yeah.
We work out, if there's one gate, we got to work out the schedule for each one, but having one gate doesn't solve her problem not wanting people there who aren't supposed to be there.
One gate seems silly, if you have two different schedules.
I don't even know why we have a gate there at all, but that's another subject. We don't have gates in any other parks that we close.
I drive by sometimes early in East Lyme,
They close theirs up too.
They close things up too, because, it's a big area.
People drive on fields and ruin them.
Yeah, and people drive on fields and ruin them, and it's a good idea, I think, to have the gate, and it's worked.
People have crashed through the fence up there already.
They crash into the gate too, I think.
Yeah. They're gonna get in.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're done with that one, everybody? Yeah,
I am.
Okay. New business, we don't really have anything. I don't have anything. Do you have something?
I do.
Okay, what do you got?
New business. I received from Hildy, the athletic director over at the high school, I've received the 2023 high school crew schedule. There are 11 races listed on here, and there are 5 of them that are scheduled to be held at Rogers Lake. So that was within what we had previously discussed was an acceptable amount to use Haynes Park. There is a question of they are trying to get a practice scrimmage type regatta with Stonington on April 8th. I don't know what day of the week that is. So I guess my question here is, I have their schedule. It falls within the previously discussed requests as far as the number of events there. Does the Parks and Rec Commission want to vote to approve this, or just have a general consensus that it's fine? What do you want to do?
But I think it's important. Is that just like, would take place during the regular practice time, or is it going to be
It's a Saturday.
Is it Saturday? Is this a Saturday?
Yeah.
April.
Yeah.
It's the opening of Little League, and it wouldn't have anything to do with fishing season or...
No, I think,
Crazy those days.
I mean, not many people are using the park except the rowers anyways in April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's so early in the season, because the public doesn't start using it until it gets warm out.
It looks fine to me. I think if the commission just has a general consensus, or if you want to make a motion, that's up to you, and I can just pass it on to Hildy.
I think a consensus is just fine. This is not a real big matter.
Yeah. All right.
And everyone agrees on the commissioners that it's okay.
Consensus to allow them to have that practice.
That scrimmage with, who was it with? Stonington.
And the 5 listed regattas.
Yes. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. Correspondence, that's basically been covered with the correspondences came from the soccer people and the lacrosse people, and we're gonna include the two that we
Two letters
received
from-
today, that,
Yeah.
that
Were they attachments?
Yeah,
attach those to the minutes, because that basically sums up all the other things that have been going on. Okay, and public comment? Martha, you're the only one in person here. Do you have anything?
Thank you for such a great meeting.
Yeah?
Working cooperatively.
Yeah, no, I think everybody's on the same page as we move forward. Anybody out in telephone land that has a comment? Okay, hearing none. Motion to adjourn?
Me?
Second? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Thank you for everyone putting a little extra time in tonight. And Martha, thank you for coming, and